Hello everyone. Today we have another problem that was there at a customer place where the CloudWatch logs in AWS, they were able to not kind of visualize properly and the retention setting was not there, which is where the logs were growing. So searching for those logs beyond a certain date was becoming a problem and a challenge. We recommended a few options. Course of the next few videos, we'd create what were the options recommended and what was the final option that was selected. But with today's video, we're going to focus on one option wherein how we can export the CloudWatch logs to Elasticsearch, aka OpenSearch, which is in AWS. So please like, subscribe, share the channel. And if any of your customers or if any of your small business owners have a cloud or any problem that they would like to solve, please reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help them with their requirement. So with this, let's get started. This is a log group that is created. As you could see, there are a lot of log groups out here. And if I click on one log group, there could be a lot of log groups. This is a simple one. It's not much, but when we were talking with a customer with an enterprise application, there were a lot of log groups being created and the data was too much such that even if you had to go and click here and do a search, it was taking a long time. And we all know putting so much of data in CloudWatch logs is going to be first of all, very expensive. Secondly, it's not intended for doing that much search compared to how OpenSearch is supposed to be doing. You can always create a dashboard, but it's going to be a lot more simpler if you export to another platform such as OpenSearch, aka Elasticsearch. So for that, I just wanted to show you this is the log group. This is the sample log group. I'll be using this for the demo and I'll be using this out of the box option, subscription filter, and create an OpenSearch subscription filter. And to do this, let me click on this one. I need an OpenSearch cluster. I don't have one, so let me get started and show you the process of creating the OpenSearch cluster. Okay, so this is where I'm in the OpenSearch screen, and let me go and hit create domain. And now I see two options. Don't choose this easy create. It'll go and create additional nodes, master node, and something that you may not need for your environment. So always choose standard create and see for yourself. In this case, I just need dev test. You don't need production. I don't need a domain with standby. I just need one instance. Choose the latest. For now, just to show the setup. And in memory optimized, choose general purpose. I'll choose previous instances because this is just a demo, but ideally M5 family we have experienced works kind of good. It is cost effective as well as provides better performance as well. So but for now I'll just show the setup. It's saying, and obviously I chose 1AZ. I will go for one node and GP3 is good. I don't need 100. I'll choose 10. The default is fine. I don't need dedicated master nodes. I'll just choose now public access just for the sake of it but never ever you should have public access. You should always have VPC access. But just to avoid the networking part and debugging, I'll just choose public for now. And now this is where I'll just choose IP4 as part of the setup. But master, instead of IAM, I'll just choose master user separately. Get rid of password. I don't need any of this. I'll disable this. You configure, you choose this, choose allow. And obviously you don't want this to be all, but I'll just give it all for now. You could come here and see the option. For now, I'll choose AWS. You do want to choose your own customized key, but I'll just choose this for now. And you do want to give a tag, always give a tag. It's easy for not just for the name part, but also in case you have some policies, backup or whatnot, it'll come very handy for that. So once done, I'll hit create. And this is where the cluster should be running in around 5 minutes time. It should be because it's a small instance. So once it's running, we'll resume again. Okay, so now we see that the cluster is created. It did take around 30 minutes to create, even though it was a one instance cluster. But you could see the status is active. This is the status where it is there. And the configuration state is also complete. So if you want, we could always check the OpenSearch, which was also called Kibana earlier. And this is the dashboard you could use to log in. So the dashboard is opening, and I can go and check it out. The reason I did that is because I had set up public access. But I don't want to do that. And now this is where you provide the username, password, and this is going to be the dashboard that will be visible. This is the later part. I just wanted to show that if the setup of OpenSearch is done, version 2.0.3, and it has all these additional features that we can go about later. Tenant, just do it global. It is much better. Okay, so, but for this, there's no data. I need to first export the data. And this is where now, because I have the setup done, I need to go here and now refresh this page. I should see the domain coming up, which I just recently created. Yeah, this is the domain, and the Lambda role is what I need to create. Let me create the Lambda role here. Okay, so now to create the role, I can go here and choose here IAM, click role, create role, choose the service, in this case Lambda, hit next, and here you would give the Lambda access. And you don't want to give all you need is the VPC access. And then this is where the role name we have to provide, which is going to be, we can just put CloudWatch OS, which is for OpenSearch. And this is what we will be providing. Now this role is there. I will need to go back in and do a little more updates. So this is the policy. I just have one policy. I would need to provide it. OpenSearch permission as well. For now, I'll just create an inline policy. I need to give OpenSearch here. Service. Yeah, for now, I'll just kind of give all. But you get the point that you need to give the right permission, not all. Yeah, don't put the comments that it is not safe. I'm just doing it for this video. And just for now, all right, so I don't need to mention it. And even it's just saying you shouldn't do that. So I'll just mention CWOS policy. Okay, so this role should be good enough because it does provide all the required permission. Let me go back and refresh and type in the name, which is, this is the role I see. In the log filter, you could just provide the standard, the other is fine, and the space pattern, you could just leave it for now. I don't think it's going to make a difference. If you want, you could test it. You could give a name, and you could just put it like CW YouTube video log, and I could hit start streaming. Now let's wait for, you see this is where it is starting the process, the setup that is going to be done, and we could see the log as well being created. So this is where you see YT log, and now this is where the function is what will be created. And this is the standard format, the naming convention of the function that is going to be there. I could come here, I could hit Lambda, and I could put the function name out here. This is the name, and this is what will be created. It may seem that the job is done, but it's far from done. We still have a lot more configuration to do. Let's see if this log is flowing in. I don't think so it's going to flow in. There's usually an error that happens. I'll show you how exactly we could go about seeing the error in this case. So if I go here, this is another good view. You could see that if there's any indices being created. OpenSearch, and I like to go in this way. And DevTools query, and the query I would want to do is, and I just wanted to show in this function, what the code is. If you look at the code, this is the index it creates, CWL. So what I could do is, I could come here, I could remove this, and I could do a get, and I'll just do a search. Let's see if I get some data. See, there is no data in here because it needs to start flowing in. So, and one way to see if there's any error or something is that we can change this to debug. Now there is this line here that we need to change to debug. Okay, so here we can change it to be, instead of false, change it to true to see what the error is happening. This is where it will update. Now we could go to the Lambda and check the specific error. What is going on? It does take some time to stream the logs to OpenSearch, but there are a few additional roles you will need to create as part of this setup. Okay, so I see something. And now let me change this to be a view in plain text. Okay, there you go. You see, this is the error message, and we need to provide this permission. There is no security exception. There is no permission for this role here. The backend role is this mentioned. So we need to go back to this dashboard, earlier as Kibana, and do the required setting. So let me go here, because I need to go to the security section in dashboard. I need to create a new role here. In this, I choose, instead of choosing usually you would prefer to just do this, create a new role, and you give a name, and in the permission, data_access, this is cluster permissions. Let us give this right bulk, you need the permission, give manage snapshots. Yeah, for now you could just give it cluster_ just so that this video is a little shorter. And in the index permission, just choose here, just put star, that means all indices. And for now you could give the permission of indices all. Give it indices monitor. Index is there, yeah, just give it index. And I think this should be the required permission. So this should take care of the role setup, CWS role. I create it, and this is where I'll see the cluster permission and the indices permission. Now what I also need to do is I need to map this to a user. I don't have a user, so let me create an internal user. So in here I could just create a CWS user, and I can just give a password. And here in the control is what we need to provide the AN of the new role that is created. So let me open this in a new tab, and I copy this. So this is the AN I need to copy. I use this. I come back to the user and provide this setting here. And now I can hit create. It will create this user. And this is where I need to provide the mapping. So there you go. It's visible over here. And in this, I will also need to provide the backend role just to ensure there is no permission missing. So this is what I'll provide, and I'll hit map. So this should take care of the missing of the permission error that we were seeing as part of this setup. Wait and refresh and see. Okay, so let's give it a few more minutes to take effect. You're still getting a 403, and let's see if the events propagate. Okay, so now you see this is the updated log where I see the attempted items. 4 successful are 4, failed 0, and I see the status scores of 200. Now if I come back to, I should be able to run the query. So let me go back to dev tools, and if I now run this, I see the value of 4. So this is a setup that will allow you to be able to see the dashboard. Now, apart from this, this is where it becomes a little more complex. The requirement was that we want to create separate users that should only be able to go and see those indices. So that is what I'll show here on how to go about creating separate users in this OpenSearch dashboard. So for that, it is the similar setup what we had done, and for creating the other user, I have to go to security, and in internal users, I will just create internal user 1, CWL user 1, and give a password. Here, we don't need to give a backend role. I think we should be good with this. And this is where we hit create. Now, the user, it needs to also be mapped to a role. So what I'll just do is I need to go to the role to be able for it to log in. So let me go here, role, and one of the snapshot role is one that has a lot of the permissions. So I just like to put the users in this role. You see it has the indices, data, read, write. But ideally, yeah, you're better off creating your own role. But one is you could just use this role as well. And this is the new user you could map. So the user is mapped. So now if I go to this browser, show you. You could also see the data here as well. You'll see this size increased, and the cluster is yellow because I just have one node. Either you'd want to have more than one node, then the status will turn to green. And let me log out from here and show the setting. And CW. So the username password is invalid. Let me get the password that I'd created. So this is where we created the user. I'll see, okay, CWL-user1. Let me copy this URL and open in incognito mode, this browser. New private window, and let me go to that. So now I'm able to log in with that user. But you see there is no application or no data found because there is not much. All it was manage snapshot. So what I should do is I should go back here and make a role specific for this particular index that is there. And now this is where I just wanted to show. Now if I have multiple logs, because I just showed a setting of exporting one log group, one domain. You don't want to start creating multiple domains per log group. We just want to have one domain mapped to multiple log groups. So for which what I could do is if I go back to this log group, I have this one log group here, and if I go back, I'll open a new tab. So say I choose this one. This is the other one. This D1. I go with this one, and I do a similar setting. There's no difference. It's kind of 3 clicks I would need to do. Just provide this option. And the Lambda function, it's already set up, so I don't need to do much. And I just choose the filter name. And this is where I could choose the CW-OS. And I could start streaming. Now this is where in the subscription folders, I will see this setting here, filter pattern. But if you see here, it is going to use the same Lambda function. It will not create a separate Lambda function. And this is where if you come here, if I go to CloudWatch Logs, I will see 2 log groups added. So how can I have separate indices that pertain? Because I don't want one index to have all the data of both the log groups. It'll become too confusing. And also it could be that one user only should have access to a particular index, not the other one, which is where it is better to separate it out. So this is where, again, the Lambda function it comes handy. We would need to come here, and this is where we could kind of come in and update the code. So let me show you the change that is required as part of this setup. Okay, so in this code, this is where we would need to do a little bit of tweaking. So what I would do is I would come here and make a new var, enter, and this is where I would do this code change. Let me zoom in so that you all can see better. And this is where I need to give the log group name. Here, let me copy this function and come back and paste it. But this is the log group that needs to be. We need to put here this value. Okay, so this is the function, and I updated to show the particular part. So this is where you add this code, and this is where. So now you have this code added where what you're seeing is you have, the log group is this, and I'll just copy this guy and paste it so it is unique indices, and the other one you could just put it something like other or something. And this is where you could see it will be having this setup here. If you do this, you deploy. Now what will happen is you have two log groups which will be sending to separate indices instead of one index. And AWS, it is out of the box, it will just club it together. If you want to do it separately, you will have to make your own Lambda and do it. But I think this is good. It's not a problem. You could always use, because the compute is the same. Cost is not going to be much of a difference. It's going to be the same as well. You could just kind of come here and update the line of code, and as I showed over there. Now, if we go back, this is where we were talking. If we go back, we could go and create the different roles out there and see the permission that is there. So if you go back to the role, you will be able to, right? You could go and create the required permission for that index, and let me show you how to go about creating that separate role. So what I'll do is I'll just make a CW, and this is the index, the other log group, and I'll give this the name role. And this is where the other permission is needed. Cluster and this monitor is one. Give this permission. And then give composite ops. This is another permission that will be required. And for the index, this is where don't give star. Come and choose the proper index that you will need. And you could come here and come to the developers DevTools section. And you could run the query. And you see you have, okay, didn't create yet. It should create as soon as it gets the log, but let us monitor if there are any errors or anything that I may have introduced. But let me go back. This is the log group. And okay, so there are no errors, but it does take a little bit of time for the logs to be pushed. But it should come up, and this is where if I try running again, okay, it didn't pick up, but I think you get the point. If I go to Lambda and take the name that I had given, this is the name you could do, right? You could just take this name and you come here, you put it in the index, give it search, and in the permission, you could choose indices. This is one permission you could choose. And likewise, if you do indices monitor, there's another one you could give. And also give monitor stats. Give this permission as well. So this should create the role that provides the user with the required permission. And now what you do is you map this user, the user that we had created. I think it was CW user 1 we had created, and we had done this, and just map it out. And now if we log in with this user, we already had it incognito. Setup done. So let me just open it incognito. Now let me copy the URL from here. So if we come here, OpenSearch, we take this Kibana, go back and come here. Let me open the incognito window I had. And new private window. So you could confirm, dismiss, and you could come here. You could do a query. Okay, so you see you won't be able to do this way. But if I change the query to be just specific for that index, and that is if I run the query like this, go to the function, get the name. Yeah, so if I give this name, there you go. So there's no data because it will start flowing in a few minutes, but you get the point that I'm able to query anything else I'm not able to query. I only gave permission to that index. So with this, I hope you are able to see little more options on how you could go about it, resolve the errors, update the Lambda function on what you need to do, have multiple log groups, and go about exporting the log groups. And also, I just wanted to show one last thing. You could also use the dashboard discover to see the setup as here. So please, again, like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends, colleagues who are in cloud computing or are interested to get into cloud, or your customers if they have a requirement or a problem statement. We at Arena Technologies will be more than glad to help solve your problem. We have almost 14 years of experience in the cloud together, so we can always help you out to solve your issues. Thank you and have a great day.